Hello, this is Semantic Sense, and today I'm going to walk you through a tutorial on how to create an animation frame by frame. So what I've got here is a finished product for an image that I made an animation from. I basically took an image of the steps in human evolution, isolated every single step in it, and then made an animation from it using our effect. So here it is. Let me just show it to you. So as you can see, the ape stands up into a human. So basically, yeah. And we can also do de-evolution through this too, just by going backwards. What we're going to do today is we're going to use Photoshop to create a series of bars that will essentially be a picket fence through which you can see strips of frames from. So if I were to remove this bar series from our image, what you would see are these strips essentially, and these are all strips from an image that I'm about to show you online. So there are all the strips we need. So this tutorial is going to cover essentially things like repeating transformations, creating an animation from silhouettes, using the select tool for specific regions and specific ratios of selections, and some worthy shortcuts like the deselect command and also the paint bucket command. So let's get started. What I'm going to do is immediately purge my palette. I'm going to delete everything on it, and I'm just going to close everything I have, not saving either, which is a bad habit. So let me go to Chrome. I'm going to go to the Wikipedia article on silhouettes, and earlier today I found the image that I wanted to use for this just by going down to the image resources in the article, and I found this nice this nice series of silhouettes. So this effect is only possible to pull off with silhouettes, really, but you can work with it. If you've ever imagined, driving by a picket fence or something like that, and seeing someone run on the other side, the effect we're going to pull off is going to be somewhat like that, where basically there's going to be a changing image behind a picket fence, and you're only going to see strips of that image. But ultimately, with these really small bars, we can create that effect if we scale that picket fence down to the size of some three pixel wide bars. Pixel is incredibly small. So I'm sure you don't even know what I'm talking about. So let me just get started. I'm just gonna move this Creative Commons licensed image over to my Photoshop application free of charge, and I'm really unlikely to get sued. In fact, it's impossible to get sued since I know that the license is Creative Commons. So here we have each step in the human evolution, and I'm going to later on I'm going to isolate each of these images into frames so that each of them can become the frames that we use in our animation. Let me just move on to creating another palette, however, using Command N to create our bar series. This is what we're going to need to create our. This is what we're going to do to create essentially our picket fence through which we'll see the strips of the frames that we'll create using the bar frames as well, or using the bar series as well. So I'm sure you still don't know what I'm talking about, so let me just get down to it. We're going to create some bar series that are fixed size, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create each bar so that it is essentially the amount of frames that we have minus 1. So in this picture we're going to have 4 frames. The monkey is going to move, or the primate is going to move and evolve into another primate, then another primate, and then finally a human, or Homo sapiens. So basically we'll have 4 frames, but I'm going to create a bar that is basically 3 pixels wide, the amount of frames we have minus 1. Now this is really important you need to make sure that you have a consistent animation and that there are no white spaces in it. So by going by that simple equation, you'll have created the proper bar series that is needed for this. So here I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this on this specific bar since it's so incredibly small, and then I'm going to zoom in on it. Here it is, and then get it positioned perfectly in my palette. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically create a new layer using layer new, and I can use Shift Command N to actually create this new layer, and I'm going to do that. So this layer is going to actually be called the bar series because it's what we're going to use in our other image or our other palette where that our picture is waiting in. So I'm basically going to press G, and that's going to trigger my paint bucket to jump up. And then I'm going to make sure that my primary color in my color palette is black, and then I'm going to press it, and essentially that will give me this bar. So what I've done is I've essentially created a bar, and I'm going to deselect it. I've created it on this new layer, and you can't see it here because the bar is so incredibly small. And I'm going to transform it using Option Command T. Now, usually you would trigger transform using Command T, but the Option Command T allows you to make whatever transform you perform a step. And then using another command that I'll tell you about afterwards, you can actually repeat that step over and over and over again as many times as you like. And you'll be able to see that. I'll just get down to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over. The command Option T also creates a new a duplicate of the current layer. And then by pressing Enter, I've automatically completed the step. So what I'm going to do to repeat the step is do Shift Option Command T. And this is just going to allow me to basically hold down Shift Option Command and then press T as many times as I like to create a new layer. And as you can see over here, I'm creating multiple layers just based off of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep copying these layers, and now I have like 20 bars. Now what I can do from this point on is I can actually go over here. I'm going to zoom out just so that you can see that 20 bars have been created. And move over here, and here are the 20 bars. And I'm going to merge all of these layers together by holding down Shift and selecting the first or last layer in the series. I'm going to hold down Shift and then go down to my first or last image, and then select and then click it basically, and then do a right click to bring up a merge layer. Or my layer options. So I'm going to merge all the layers so that they're now one. So we now have one of these. And guess what I'm going to do now? I'm just going to press Option Command T like we did before, and that's going to duplicate the layer and allow me to basically move it over one step and essentially perform the first step and basically allow me to create a repetitive step that I can do over and over, perform over and over again. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm doing what we were doing before, only now exponentially. So I press Enter, and there, it's created. So now all I need to do is do what I did before and press Shift Option Command T, and it'll immediately create more of these. And as you can notice, this fills out the page a lot faster than I could have ever done using the other method. Now I could do that step again. I could, perform the option, and I could perform the selection process and move it over and make sure that it's actually a pixel apart from the last bar, as you notice I did before. But that takes too much time. It's unnecessary at this point. This is moving fast enough. So now I'm going to merge all these layers again, just because we want it to be one consistent layer. So all the layers are merged. Now they're together and we have a bar series. Now if we remove this background, you'll notice that in between the bars there's actually nothing. There, like it's just the background color, which in this case is which is these tiled squares. So what I'm going to be allowed to do with this layer is actually move it